This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
No.
This
Just
is
stop.
a sham.
It's finally here. Drum roll.
Welcome to DBL. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Update.
Yay. All right, we'll just go with that. So Jimmy Kimmel is giving us a sneak peek at what to expect at the Oscars this Sunday. So Jimmy told the Hollywood Reporter, expect to hear some jokes about the slap, of course, but it won't take up the whole monologue because so much has already been said about it and it's getting boring at this point, according to Jimmy. He also said that if anyone comes up to the stage to slap him, he'll beat the bleep out of them. Unless it's The Rock, then he'll probably just run away. There you go, Jimmy. Already cracking a couple jokes. He's got to address it, but I get not. You can't say that about the horse and the things like that.
Right.
Can't say that comment anymore, huh?
No, the beating, not around. No, you can't. I don't think.
Around who? In general?
Well, Sam is vegan, our co-host.
But I think it's just
You can't
on
say
the.
it.
Well, none of us eat horses.
That's
so.
true. That's a fair point.
We don't beat them either.
Right. No, that's true. That's very
All right, but you got my point.
I did get your
Yes.
point. I think Kimmel did the right thing by putting his toe. Whoa, you look really low now. Putting his toe in the little water. I don't know what I'm saying. I think he's good. He dipped his toe in the water beforehand so we could get the slap over with. It's smart. Do it pre-Oscars.
Great point.
Yeah.
What do you think, Erica?
I do agree that it's been belabored enough, so maybe we just move on from here. I'm sure it'll be alluded to,
Sure.
but
Right.
it certainly
Right.
shouldn't be like
The whole
the main
monologue.
show.
Remember
Right.
Amy Schumer did that when she came back after the slap, and she's like, I feel like something's changed.
Yeah.
Did something happen? That was so good.
That was great.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, you should have said that the first time.
Yeah, I know.
Speaking of the Oscars, Michelle Yeoh posted then quickly deleted a Vogue article that questioned whether her fellow nominee Cate Blanchett needs another Oscar. So the article suggested that Kate had the stronger performance in Tar, but a win for Michelle would be life-changing. Kate has 2 Oscars, but the question is, was the post in violation of Oscar rules? It states that actors are not allowed to post anything negative about their competition.
Okay, I have a theory on this. I don't know Michelle Yeoh from anybody else.
I love her.
Okay, I don't know, but I'm saying I don't know her personally. But I can see someone in her camp or outside of her camp being like, oh my gosh, you should read this article. It's really glowing about you. And it said X, Y, and Z. And then just being like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Looking at that, putting it up there, and then being like, oh God. Like, it also says this about my competitor.
I don't know.
So maybe it was something where it wasn't an intentional, like, I should get this and she shouldn't. Maybe she was just focusing on the part that was about her.
I agree with you. I want to believe that. I just don't. Because if you look at it, the first sentence was like, Blanchett has already won 2. Does she really need 3? Like, it was hard to ignore that it was speaking particularly about Cate Blanchett. I think it's probably a really bad idea that she did this. I'm sure she didn't do it maliciously. I can't imagine she's that kind of person, but this doesn't look good right before the Oscars to post about how it would mean more to her than Kate. It's not a great look.
And what does that mean?
Meaning she would,
I get she'd be the first Asian actress to
Right.
win, but it's like, it'd mean more to her? Like,
it would mean more for the
it's not about who
Academy.
wants it more, it's about your performance.
I
No,
know.
that's true.
Yeah.
But I also think that that could have been kind of a slight to, not from Michelle Yeoh's point of view, but a slight from the person who wrote it.
Exactly.
Because Cate Blanchett did the whole thing about why are we still doing
We don't need award
these
shows anymore.
award
That's right.
shows?
She did
Like,
do
this
that.
is kind of, almost saying like it's dumb. So I think that might have been
That
an
definitely puts it in
undertone.
There's more
perspective.
context
Yes,
there, yeah.
definitely.
Of like, this would actually mean more to Michelle Yeoh, who has been like obviously slighted and overlooked for a long time, other than Cate Blanchett, who's had so many awards that like she can't even
doesn't
really
even need it.
care.
Great point.
Right.
That is
Yeah.
a great point. That
Yeah,
really
yeah.
is. That really is. So also happening just days away from the big show, designer Christian Siriano had a bit of a wardrobe malfunction. Let's just call it that. After a pipe burst in his studio, he posted the aftermath showing the water all over the floor, saying, "It's okay, Erica. Only a few dresses were ruined."
Oh, this gives me so much anxiety. It gives me so much anxiety. I had so many nightmares about my dresses not getting to LA with me. I got every AirTag possible. I was tracking my luggage like it was my full-time job. So the idea of something happening to a dress, these designers spend like months getting these looks. They've done all of these like fittings and like, Lord, I'm sorry, Christian.
I agree with you. I followed Christian Siriano from the beginning. He was on Project Runway as a contestant. He won and has just taken off as the
And he's a younger guy,
Yeah, he's
right?
a young guy. He took off because of Project Runway.
Right.
I followed him. And he is now doing 6 to 8, 10 women on the Oscar red carpet. That's unheard of. So when you also look
Not
at...
anymore.
I know. When you look at Siriano's too, they're really, most of them are voluminous, right? Billy Porter's tuxedo dress was one of them. So I think of them all on the ground as the water's coming, and that just makes me so much more.
And that wet towel smell,
the mildew,
you can't get it out.
The mildew, you can't
get it out.
rewash it.
No, it's over.
No.
It's over. What do you think they do? They have to get a whole new dress? I mean, can't they, dare I say, off the rack?
No, you can't. No, you can't.
Did
You can't.
Everyone kind of perked up.
No.
Why not?
Because
Off the rack for the Oscars?
Yeah, that's unheard of.
Why not? Keep it real.
No.
No.
You know.
And he'll do it. He could do it at Project Runway within 24 hours. He made some incredible things. If anyone could do it, it's this young, amazing artist.
So wait, when I saw a picture of him quickly, because
Yeah.
I'm like, who's that guy?
Yeah.
And they're like, that's Christian Siriano. I'm like, I'm expecting like an old Italian guy with gray hair.
He's the new up-and-coming mode of the new modern in a lot of ways, and he came from the game show.
Well, yes, Project Runway, I agree, put him on the map, but I think what really solidified his place in history was the idea of, just the Leslie Jones of the world, people that designers were not designing for one reason or another, because of their ethnicity, because of their body shape, because of, who
You're absolutely right.
So he really brought this amazing ability to say, hey, everyone should be included in a couture design. I want to design for everyone, and that's exactly what he's been doing.
You're right. Leslie Jones wrote on Twitter, why will no one fit me for any of these awards? And with one emoji, what did he do? The hand wave. And with that, he's been dressing, you're absolutely right, it started there, all these people, because he will. And no one else was like size 2 or nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good backstory. That's interesting.
You're absolutely right, Erica.
Very interesting. All right, so the home once owned by legendary Vegas performers Siegfried and Roy is now up for sale. They owned the home for nearly 40 years before Siegfried's death in 2021. Roy died a year earlier. The house was sold in 2022 for almost $1.9 million. It seems low, right?
Yeah.
But it's back on the market now for $3 million. So the home was called the Jungle Palace because of their Animal Act, of course, and the main house had 2 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. There are also 3 pools and 3 guest houses, which is confusing. More pools than bathrooms? Don't be in the pool or we'll swim in your toilet. I guess they don't have that sign in there. Inside, the decor includes statues and custom stained glass windows. The animal jungle themed extend throughout the house. There's even a tanning bed in one of the bedrooms. You got to do that if you're a Vegas performer.
Absolutely.
Naturally, there are animal enclosures and bird sanctuaries, but the animals and furniture are not included in the $3 million price tag. You digging it, Erica?
Yeah, this is a very specific house. And I also, the fact that it's in Vegas, you can get more out there, but you'd have to be a huge Siegfried Roy fan to purchase this and live in as is. So what we're looking at is a massive renovation. So $3 million is probably the proper price tag.
Look at you. Someone's been watching Netflix, huh?
Hey,
she's a real estate guru.
I like to know what's going on. That is my hobby. I want to know, what's happening in real estate.
Listen, I'm a big, Bravo, LA, I don't even know.
Like $1 Million Listing.
Yeah.
I love that show.
Me too.
I do too.
And I like the Netflix ones,
They're really interesting. There's one in France now that just opened that's beautiful, but I literally used her realtor just because I'm like, whatever she thinks I will use because she's so smart about it. But I will say this, you're absolutely right. It's almost a tear down in some respects. Like if you
It's
really...
not a tear down.
Well, I feel like
it looks like it has good bones.
Would you dig this? For some reason, I could see you kind of in here, Tori. Like that, you know what I mean?
Like, no.
What do you mean? It's got all the animal aspects. You got the, Siegfried and Roy lived here. It's got, that kind of reminds me of you.
Really?
A little bit. That's not even a
elephants?
slight. It's just like, I could see you living in here.
It's a little more opulent and no slight Liberacean than I feel comfortable in. But that's also very Vegas. So if you did want that kind of a Vegas home, you're absolutely right. There's an audience for that in that particular town. I'm still shocked it's only $3 million. I still think that with all those enclosures would be more.
What's more your style? Are you more modern or are you more
I like
old
mid-century.
School? Mid-century?
So 1950s, Frank Lloyd Wright.
So kind of older school.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit more older school. Yeah, I'm not a...
See, I wasn't off. That's kind of older
Well,
school.
that's more like Baroque
That's like
opulence.
Vegas older school.
Yeah, that's like we want to put frescoes.
Are you more modern?
I'm very,
She's minimal modern.
I am too.
Yeah,
I am too.
You are, you like clean.
I like clean edges,
Right,
white, squares, everything equals each other. And my wife's like, let's paint that wall yellow. I'm like, what? Yellow?
I like that. I like some color.
She wants it like Southern, and I guess that represents Southern.
Yeah, well, I do like to splash some. We have one just random green room in the house, and I didn't discuss it with my husband
You just
before.
did it?
Yeah, the painters were there, and I was like, "This is the color," and he got home and he was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Well, everything was gray. We needed one room that had color, so now we have a room that has color."
Are you
and
happy about
I love it. Yes, I think
It's the
great.
green room.
It's the green room.
There you go. Goes with your
Yes.
dress.
It's very much lighter than this dress.
All right,
Yeah.
gotcha. Coming up on DBL, our interview with Double Dare legend Mark Summers. He's telling us all about his podcast, and Lizzo speaks her mind about the Victoria's Secret fashion show that's making a comeback. Tori's explaining in her segment, actually, I like Siegfried and Roy's house.
No disrespect. It's too much. It's ungapach.
Somebody roll the clip.
Let's make sure we have Jeff's sex tape.
Wow, things are getting spicy here at DBL.
A cold-hearted snake. Look into his eyes.
Let's roll that again, everybody.
Okay, so I'm going to teach you guys a new word. It's Yiddish. Blake, you're going to learn this word too. Jeff, you as well, and Erica. It's called ungapach. And ungapach is Yiddish, which is German and Hebrew, for too much. There's too much going on. Ungapach. I bet Sharon knows that word. She does. Sharon, you know ungapach. Ungapach is too much. It's like there's too much stuff going on. That's what Siegfried and Roy's house. It's what I would say ungapach. It's a little much. There's so much going on. But again, I'm not Tom Jones and living the lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, White Tigers, I went to go see them when I was in Vegas. One of the best shows I've ever seen in my life at the Mirage. Do you know Siegfried and Roy? You're young. Do you know them? Siegfried and Roy? Siegfried and Roy? Those tigers. Okay, that's cute. She's so young. No, that is funny. There were two guys, those guys, and they would do magic with tigers. Cool. So, and in the Mirage, I'd go and he'd be like an empty cage, and then he'd be like this, and then all of a sudden a real white tiger would be in the cage. And there would be fire and pyrotechnics. And what happened was one night, y'all know about this, after hundreds and thousands of shows in Vegas every night, one of the and they live with these tigers in that house. One of the tigers attacked Roy at the neck. It was awful. It was terrifying. He did survive, but it really did a lot of damage to him. So it was really, really scary. Yeah, we're talking about Roy, but they were such a good team. So interesting with magic and fire. Yeah, you don't know him. That's really cute. She does it. It's cute.
Welcome back. Some of Hollywood's most recognizable names are fed up with people talking about and judging women's bodies, including their own. But actually, what's really going on? Let's have a look at the dates. The Victoria's Secret fashion show is back with some changes. Instead of the typical parade of 6 feet, size extra, extra small Barbie-like models strutting in their lingerie, the revamped fashion show will be more inclusive with models of all different sizes after its 4-year hiatus after receiving backlash for its exclusivity. But Lizzo, who co-created the size-inclusive shapewear brand Yeoh, ain't impressed. She tweeted that this is a win for inclusivity's sake, but, quote, if brands start doing this only because they've received backlash, then what happens when the trends change? Do the CEOs of those companies value true inclusivity, or do they just value money? Actually, Victoria's Secret has said a bunch of press releasey stuff recently about truly championing women's voices. So for now, only time will tell if this secret is true. While we're on the ever so popular topic of women's bodies, Kourtney Kardashian would love it if people would stop commenting on hers. So after she posted a pic of herself on Instagram for a photo shoot for her wellness brand, someone commented, quote, "Is she pregnant?" Kourtney clapped back, saying that her body is just experiencing the after effects of IVF. And really, are we still asking women if they're pregnant? This isn't actually the first time people have been critical of Kourtney's body. Back in September, she had a very similar situation. Someone commented on her post, quote, "Wait, did I miss that she was pregnant?" And she again commented, "Nope, but you're missing a woman's body." Actually, Kourtney's 43. She's had 3 kids and has gotten IVF to try for baby number 4. If I looked anything like her after all of that, I'd be ecstatic. So can we all just let Kourtney live her life?
My vibe right now is just living life.
That's all for this week. We'll be right back.
You might have seen articles going around claiming the IRS is about to crack down on tips earned by people in the service industry. So let's verify. Is the IRS changing how tips get taxed? Our sources are the IRS, the Treasury Department, and the Joint Committee on Taxation. Tips have been considered taxable income for decades, meaning waitstaff have to report all the tips they get to the IRS. That is not changing. What's changing, potentially, is the logistics of how the IRS knows how much should be reported. Starting in the 90s, the IRS created 3 programs employers could opt into. Each program creates a set of rules for tip reporting, and the deal is if your business follows the rules, it won't get audited. For example, one program uses a formula to estimate the minimum amount of tips a worker should probably report. As long as the workers aren't reporting a number below that, the IRS won't audit them. But the IRS says they've gotten a lot of requests to update the programs. So it's worked out a proposed replacement, one that incorporates digital tipping data to make better estimates. This reflects how much tipping is done on tablets and apps now. Right now, the IRS is just requesting public comment on this new program, meaning all of this could change. But regardless of what happens, the actual laws on tip reporting won't change. Servers would still need to report and pay taxes on their tips as normal, but some of the paperwork their employers file with the IRS, which the IRS could use as a signal of underreporting, that could change. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
Welcome back to DBL. Our next guest has been here so many times, he's basically family at this point. He made a career out of throwing that infamous green slime on Double Dare, and now he's adding podcast host to the resume. Check out our conversation with the Mark Summers. Please welcome Mark Summers.
Yeah.
How are you? Hey, Mark. You've been a guest on hundreds of podcasts. What made you want to be a host?
Well, as far as, I've been hosting television shows, believe it or not, for almost 40 years. And during COVID, I was on a bazillion podcasts, and I realized that most of these folks weren't very good. Just because you have a microphone in front of your face, unless you do the homework and find out a purpose for these people to be on your show, and I just stopped doing them. And I kept getting approached by people to do this, and I kept saying no, but this great company, Believe Limited, decided I was their guy, and they kind of talked me into it, and I'm glad they did. Our mission is finding out how people overcome obstacles. If you go to a Broadway show or see a movie or a TV show and you say the person on that stage is so lucky, but what you don't realize is all the angst and the problems they had to overcome to get where they are, and that's what we're talking about.
You've interviewed some huge names. What have you found that separates people, Mark, who live crazy successful lives and who fight that fear from just average ones?
they're willing to take a chance and put their lives and their careers on the line. Most people retreat and go, I'm going home and I'll go in the insurance business and I'll not fulfill these dreams.
Right.
But I was talking to Al Roker, and Al Roker got asked to do a Broadway show, a show that I had auditioned for, Waitress, which they turned me down. They said I was too young to play Old Joe, the owner. But he went to take voice lessons, and he nailed it. I went to see him on Broadway. He was amazing, but never had the desire, but put himself on the line. And the same thing, Anthony Ramos, who's a gentleman who I met when I was doing summer stock 10 years ago, and he wanted to be a professional baseball player, decided to stick his toe in the water on theater, and there was something magical at age 17 that we saw him do on stage, and then the next thing you know, he's in Hamilton and now starring in just about every movie. Transformers is coming out, he's doing that, so I applaud these people.
Wow.
Yeah, Mark, and I'll tell you, I really connect with you because I almost didn't get DBL because they said I trended too young, but the hair and makeup staff make me look 45.
Ridiculous.
You know, whatever. But like, let's get serious for a second, because you're talking about people taking risks, but you're taking a risk because people know you and they know your humor from Double Dare and shows like Unwrapped, and that's lighthearted. But this podcast digs deep. Like that, you're taking a risk there and people seeing another side of you. What gives you the confidence to ask these hard questions, man?
Well, at 71 and a half, I have nothing to lose, and I figured I'd go for it. About 100 years ago, I was doing a talk show that your exec producer, Bert Brow, helped me get a guest, Jerry Lewis, who I was obsessed with. And when we had Jerry on the show, I went deep on him and said, why didn't you win an Oscar? How come you've never, gotten an Academy Award? And Jerry looked at me and said, I've never done anything that warranted getting an Academy Award. And I also talked to him about other people, Jim Carrey in particular, basically stealing his act, and the fact that they were asking other people who did Jerry Lewis impressions to do movies, but not him. And I thought he was going to walk out, but he answered the question. And I think unless you're willing to, put these people on the spot and get the truth, there's no point in listening, because, I always get asked about the Burt Reynolds story on The Tonight Show. I'm so tired of telling that story. I've told it for 30 years. There's no point in telling it anymore. There's more information that you might be able to dig out of me other than that.
I think the podcast is perfect for you, Mark. I mean, it makes sense. You've talked openly about your OCD. There's a rhythm to podcasting. Like there's so much that you're like a very inquisitive person. This makes total sense to me.
I'm glad you think that way. I'm having a ball. We have Gabe Iglesias, Fluffy the comedian, coming on. We learned a lot of interesting stuff about. Next week, Mike O'Malley is on, and I've known him for 30 years, and I think he's the most successful person to ever come out of Nickelodeon. He stars in movies, he writes television shows, he's done it all. But when you get the behind-the-scenes story of what makes these people tick, I think that's blowing me away is there's something like 850,000 podcasts. After week one, we were number 77. So people are interested in what we're doing, apparently, and we're going to keep it going.
Yeah, but Mark, it's because you let people in on you, too. Like Mark Maron called you the most interesting man in the world, and I think people will know why if you tune in to Unwraps. Mark, we miss you. We love you. Congratulations. DBL Nation, don't miss an episode of Mark Summers Unwraps. Listen wherever you get your podcast. You can also watch full interviews on Mark Summer Unwraps YouTube. We'll be right back.
We typically don't even think about breathing, but some recent headlines about gas stove emissions and worries over toxic chemicals in the air, or even just this early onset allergy season, might have you thinking a little bit more about the quality of the air you breathe. A viewer asked us if using an air purifier has shown any health benefits. We turned to several sources to verify yes, but its effectiveness depends on the type of air purifier, what kind of pollutants you're dealing with, and where you put it. Since the Environmental Protection Agency warns filter-free air cleaners can generate high amounts of lung-irritating ozone, the EPA instead says to start by looking for air purifiers with a HEPA filter.
But it does need to run rather continuously for it to be effective.
Dr. Anjani Keswani says it should be running at least whenever people are in the room, and the filter should be rated to properly filter the size of the room it's placed in. Research shows air purifiers can help remove harmful gases from the surrounding air, but in that case, old-fashioned ventilation is probably more effective. The devices are best at catching the slightly bigger tiny particles floating around in your home, like allergens, dust, fungal spores, and emissions. There's strong evidence that helps reduce asthma symptoms in children, but the World Health Organization says household air pollution can lead to serious health problems for anyone. Dr. Kizwani points out, though, people live life outside the home too, so it's a bit tough to study specific health benefits of a purifier in the house, though research does show cleaner air is healthier air.
We think a lot about air pollution as affecting the lungs and the nose and maybe the sinuses as well, but there's actually a huge amount of literature on how particulate matter affects heart attack risk and stroke risk.
Research shows the portable purifiers are more effective because they don't just rely on heat or AC kicking in to work. We have more information on the research and findings on our website. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
Public health data shows that since December, Georgia doctors report an elevated rate of reinfections when people get COVID more than once. It makes up about a third of the cases each week. So, do repeat COVID infections increase the risk of severe disease? Let's verify. These are our sources. The study found that many reinfections are mild, but some people who get COVID more than once are at risk of a more severe case.
We know that repeat infections increase your rate of hospitalizations by 3 times and death by 2 times.
Researchers found that if you had a mild first infection, you're 90% likely to have a mild case the second or third time. But if you were hospitalized the first time, you have a 50% chance of being hospitalized again. Dr. Morgan says each new variant decreases the likelihood that having the virus in the past will protect you in the future. So we can verify, yes, repeat COVID infections can increase the risk of severe disease. With your Fast Facts, I'm Christy Diaz.
Welcome back to DBL. When it comes to bathroom remodels, what's worth the splurge? We're talking about it in today's tips, sponsored by Jacuzzi. According to interior designers, these specific renovation ideas will turn your bath into a spa every time. First, radiant floor heating. That sounds amazing. Next, oversized rain shower. Amazing. Next, also, electric outlets inside your cabinets and drawers.
Wow.
Pretty cool. And lastly, a shower nook for your shampoo. Must have it. If you want your start... Wow, I got some laughs there, huh? If you want your remodeled jacuzzi can do it the right way with a spa-like experience, Jacuzzi offers an unmatched, stress-free remodeling process. Visit jacuzzibathremodel.com or call 800-523-1523. You like how I spiced that up?
I did. The house I bought came with the lower bathroom with heating on the floor.
Ooh.
It's the most glorious thing. I just lay there.
You lay on the floor,
the bathroom
huh?
floor.
All right.
Okay.
See you tomorrow.